everybody, this is Dust for Dust Dawn Gaming with a little bit more M19 Standard action here. Kind of trying to tie in what I'm streaming, not to stream against what other people are doing on Twitch and such. So, wanted to do like Mono White Monument or some of the other stuff tonight, and Saffron Olive streaming Mono White Monument over on MTG Goldfish. Somebody else was streaming one of the other decks I wanted to do. So one of the decks, ironically, I haven't covered on the channel, at least me playing it yet, is Mono Green or Green Black Aggro. This deck has been around since the reprint of Llanowar Elves, so it was kind of here during Dominaria Standard as well. A couple different takes on it. There's the green-black version and the green-blue version. According to Wizards data they spewed out during talking about the potential banning of Goblin Chain Whirler, was that green-black and green-blue were the best overall win percentages in the format. So I found that quite interesting. This deck is fairly straightforward. You're a green beatdown deck. You're playing Greenbelt Rampager, Thrashing Brontodon, Steelleaf Champion, Ghalta, Ronus, Heart of Kirin. One notable absence from this particular list is Verdurous Gearhulk. So this deck is playing 4 of Ghalta. So we'll see if that is a problem. Beyond that, you really have no removal spells in the main deck. You have 4 copies of Blossoming Defense to kind of protect your creatures from spot removal. A couple Hearts of Kirin to that most of your creatures can accrue. At least some of your 3 and 4 drops here. Thrashing Brontodon gives you some interaction against artifacts and enchantments, things like God Pharaoh's Gift or Torrential Gearhulk potentially. Beyond that, you're just trying to get on the board as quickly as possible and beat your opponent into submission. Sideboard, the reason you're running black besides Scrapheap Scrounger coming back from the graveyard is cards like Doomfall and Heart of Glory. Doomfall gives you access to a Duress effect against control decks, also gives you access to answers to things like Scarab God if that's the only creature they have. Hour of Glory, very similar. It just kind of functions as your Vraska's Contempt against... What's up, Dave? How you doing? This kind of functions as your Vraska's Contempt against things like Scarab God, Hazoret, etc. Things that could potentially get in your way. Beyond that, you have a couple Naturalizes for more artifacts, things like God Pharaoh's Gift and stuff. You need more answers than Thrashing Brontodon. Deathguard Scavenger can come in a bunch of different matchups when you need to chomp away at your opponent's graveyard for things like Torrential Gearhulk. God's Pharaoh's Gift also can come in against other aggro decks like Mono Red or Zombies. A couple Nymphs of Vita Force for control matchups, and 1 land, a swamp, I'm presuming when you're bringing in black spells or when you need another land in like a control matchup. So, beyond that, pretty much game 1, you're pretty much beat face, sideboard kind of tailored to fit, whether you need removal or a little bit more attritionary cards. A couple of things I'm surprised not in this particular list. I'm surprised that Lifecrafter's Bestiary is not in this list, and I'm surprised that some number of Verdurous Gearhulks aren't in this list, but so just a quick plug. Sideboard MTG did a complete breakdown of all the standard decks, pretty much, other than maybe a couple flavors of Grixis. So I can email it to you, or it's in the link below the stream here. So I've been trying to put the list below the stream so you can just click on it and save it. But I mean, if you need me to, I can, Dave. That's not a problem. But anyways, let's get into some gameplay. Alright, so constructed open play. Gonna do a couple tournament practice games before we jump into some 2-man queues. Couple comment or two about I didn't play the early games of the zombie list great, so probably start out in the practice rooms before we upgrade to sexy. I have to go to standard this week. Now it's a part. Oh, Space Marine's here to crash. I think if we did a story of Space Marine's life, it would be Wedding Crashers. Only he's like Stream Crashers. How you guys doing tonight? Break out the bourbon. Now we need a bourbon fox in here too. This hand seems reasonable. Seems like what we're trying to do here, right? I mean, I've got a god-awful white-bordered Atlanta Morels into a Steel Leaf champion. What more could I possibly want? Whiskey. So up against blue-white, this could be interesting. Actually, I'll drink anything. Oh. Looks like we might be up against one of the versions of the ramp decks. Interesting. Five. Gotta do the... So next turn, unless they remove one of our creatures, we get to play a Galta. Alright, opponent scoops it up. Bloody hot South Carolina, brethren. Oh, 4 copies of Doomfall. Probably a couple copies of Naturalize. Cards are we not leaving in this matchup? I'm going to board out a couple of Blossoming Defenses. On the premise that if they're the ramp control deck, they're probably going to want more sweepers than spot removal. So... And... I'm not sure what else to cut here. Maybe like a 1 of Rona. Ronas could probably give them problems. Let's go with 2 Doomfall and 2 Nissa, see how this goes. Yeah, but I've personally taken my fair share of beatings from said green deck, so I have a very healthy respect for said green deck. Especially when said green deck has Llanowar Elves every game 1. See if our opponent has some type of counterspell. Oop. Alright. Nothing like having a 5/4 on turn 2. Opponent have their spring to mind. Opponent's mind is sprung, man. Alright, well, let's see what you got over there, friend. No, it is definitely not. Spring to Mind, Hour of Promise, Haze of Pollen, Haze of Pollen. Well, shit. I think we gotta take the Ixalan's. Am I taking the Binding or the Hour of Promise here? I guess I take the Hour of Promise and hold up Blossoming D. Wait, if my opponent wants to spend their entire turn casting a 4-mana do-nothing enchantment, I'm good with that. Basically, human Thorn Elemental. Oh dear. Unsurprisingly, they're casting an Ixalan's Binding. And unsurprisingly, I have a Blossoming Defense. I think our opponent scooped a little bit early, given the fact that they had two Haze of Pollens in hand, but, you know, whatever. I understand. Move on with your life. You're getting beat down by a 5-4. I honestly think they should just cast another Spring to Mine and set up for Haze of Pollen plus other stuff. See, now this hand's going to be a little bit fairer, but I don't think I can mulligan a hand just because it doesn't have turn 1 Land of War Elves. Especially since Branch Walker and Neuronus isn't terribly bad in most matchups. Space Marine, you also have a very high tolerance for both making people miserable and suffering through misery. So, I don't know how good of a gauge that is. Never give up, never surrender. Well, sorry guys, I'm not renaming the channel to Misery Loves Company Gaming. Or are we going French? Les Miserables. Only play to vary control all formats. That's unfortunate. This opponent's putting up a little more of a fight. Never go French. Wow. They always surrender. Wow. You guys are something else tonight. Sure. Which one do you want? Probably taking Blossoming Defense would be my guess. They take Galta. It's going to be a little bit rough on them. This feels like a position my opponent's going to have a little bit of difficulty coming back from. Hey, War Dog, have you been working on any of your lists lately? Opponent hoping they can catch us with the trigger on the stack. I think I just let that go. Alright, so our opponent's the mono black control deck. Probably want the naturalizes. Probably want the Nissas. We get a couple copies of Doomfall. These Galtas out of here. And got like a Land of War Elves on the draw. Maybe a Rampager. Well, maybe I should take as long to play it as you took to get me it. No, we'll be getting to it either tonight. I'll probably either get to it tonight or tomorrow morning. I just wanted to do a fairly low-key standard stream before walking the dogs tonight. M19 Standard dropped a little bit faster on Magic Online than I was necessarily expecting. So, been kind of doing this since it's kind of the big hit right now with streaming. Hmm. And I completely missed an attack step. Hashtag first punt of the day. So opponent should be at 12 now instead of 16. Let's go ahead and play Rampager with my 1 of free mana here. Surprised our opponent isn't activating this during their upkeep instead of during their main phase. Red black Reveler Burn. Sure. Opponent might regret their life decisions here. Sure. So opponent should be at 5, so that is kind of relevant in situations like this. Hope our opponent uses Kill Spell on Heart of Curon here. Does make me wonder what they're sitting on in hand, though. Yeah, Space Marine, this is the first time I picked up the list, like, personally played it, and it's kind of insane. Like, just the utter brutal efficiency of what's going on is kind of insane. Picked up a Naturalize. And they scoop it up. Because they were dead to the Steel Leaf champion here. Yeah, I got absolutely Raphael stomped by this deck last week at F&M. Part of it was I got stuck on 3 lands with a handful of 4-drops, but even when I was able to start just deploying spells, Blossoming Defense just kind of blew me out because I was already behind on board. Sorry for hitting the microphone, but I mean, if I get to go Llanowar Elves into stuff every turn, it's like this isn't fair. course, that said, we now play against the Chain Whirler deck, so our hand's like going to be absolutely horrible. Yeah, sure. If you got it, you got it. You have the shack? Nope, they don't have the shack. Oh, they're not mono red. Weird. Alright. Kind of bizarre sequencing on my opponent's part here. I mean, just because I don't play a spell doesn't mean I don't have a spell to play. Getting Sweltering Suns. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, we got us a brew here. I agree there. Am I just supposed to Brontodon blow this out of the way, swinging for 3? Or Ronus? See if our opponent blocks here. Nope. Obviously they value that card too much for their strategy, or they... To be fair, I also think people play around Blossoming Defense more than they should. Tormenting Voice. I am confused as to what's going on, but I am also intrigued at the same time. Opponent probably should have attacked there. So we have no way to actually trigger Ronus here. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they're on some type of artifact or Tezzeret based deck. I'm not going to waste my entire turn. And then we draw the Blossoming Defense after all this. Wow. We're still at the end of combat here. Sometimes, Space Marine, it's really hard to not laugh at your comments, man. Oh. For those of you not watching the replay right now, Space Marine's like, poor guy, he's just trying to have some fun playing some sweet jank, and you're gonna stomp a muddle on his ass. Oh. Alright, their jank stopped being fun now. They're playing Teferi. I was gonna say our opponent stopped being nice here. So my, how quickly your tone sobers up there, Space Marine, when you realize our opponent's playing actual standard legal cards in their deck. Tragic Lesson, that's an interesting one. Why wouldn't... I guess that's instant speed. I'm presuming if you're our opponent, you block Ronus here, or you just concede. Cool. Galta's out. Nissa's in. Doomfall's in. Got like one Land of War Elves for maybe another... One copy of Naturalize. What do I do, David? I'm not following that one, sorry. Sand is extremely awkward. I think we're gonna keep it, but we don't have any early 1 or 2 mana plays, which is kind of... and there's a good chance we can draw one here. What? Our opponent chose to put us on the play. I'm kind of confused here. Chart a course. Well, at least Space Marine, we're going to get a good look at what their hand is now. So you might get some better idea of what they're brewing with. Doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Beginning of our end step, if you attack with a creature, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Huh. I think I'm obligated to take... Alright, is our opponent scooping? To be fair, we actually did finish the mono black matchup. Alright, time to graduate to the 2-man queues. At least for a match or two. We're up against Chico 121212. I mean, we've got Llanowar Elves and Neuronis, which isn't the best, but, you know, whatevs. See if our opponent fatal pushes for fun. Alright, looks like we might be up against the Mirror or against Snake. Presuming Snake's an atrocious matchup. So I have no reason to attack here, just hold up Blossoming Defense. Still not quite sure what's going on with our opponents. Thingamabobber over there. Looks like we got the mirror match. Snapcaster Mage? Or Dragon Lord Ojutai? Dragon Lord Ojutai. It's the only card that fits your MO. What? Alright, so 4. So our opponent's dead next turn. Unless they have like Brontodon or something. Could someone do me a favor, look up what that card does and link it? I mean, I'll do it after the match here, but I'm actually playing for some Magic Online fun bucks. Still doesn't explain why you're playing it in a modern deck. Probably want these Hour of Glories. Beyond that, I have no idea what you want in this matchup. Doomfall, maybe? Like, get these... I don't know if we can get Scrounger out of there completely. 2 Hour of Glories for... maybe a Blossoming Defense and a... I have no idea. Have you met Space Marine? He's not exactly afraid to play unconventional cards. Like I said, have you met Space Marine? He kind of plays some unique stuff. We get to play Gulta next turn. Guess we'll see if our opponent has Gulta. Whoa! There's a card. Promised and Tron. You do love you some Emrakul the Promised End, don't you? So how about a 2-mana 12/12? Is that good? Guess it depends on if our opponent has their own 12/12. Yes, it dies to removal in a matchup where there's very little removal. Does our opponent have their own Gulta? Nope. Aethersphere Harvester. Looks like our opponent brought a couple of knives to a howitzer fight. Yeah, I think I'm leaving Hour of Glory on the top of my deck. I think I am. Okay, sure. Uh... So I don't want to let this game take a whole lot longer here. I think I just let them block here since they can't lifelink it right now. See how they... Yeah, I'm cool with this pseudo exchange. Guess we get to see what our opponent's one card is here, thanks to Hour of Glory. So maybe I should have done this pre-combat. Steel. I guess that only works if it's a god. Never mind. Card on bottom. Okay, so you have a land. Touche, touche. So this 1, 2, 3. We still have. So this costs 3. That costs that. See if they decide to block with the harvester here to avoid going to 1. Looks like the answer is yes. Space Marine, I'd be hard pressed to deny that some number of the Galta should probably be Verderus Gearhulk, but I don't know. I don't have a huge amount of experience with this deck. All I know is in the removal heavy decks, we are boarding out Galta. So, but there are matchups like this where Galta alone pretty much would have won the game without our opponent finding one of their hours of glory. Left card on top. All right. Heart of Curon's a good one. So attack's gonna force at least one chumper trade. Alright, so one trade and one chump. That's gonna keep them presumably from crewing Heart next turn. I guess I should have attacked with Heart there, too. What's up, Kenneth Rook? No, don't mind at all. Kept a card. Okay, so they can bring back Scrappy, sure. So they do have a way to crew Heart of Curon, which is unfortunate. Got the card on top. The only toll around here is the troll toll that you like to do to people, Space Marine. I think the bestiary might have done us in here. That's why I was trying to end the game. Ignore Space Marine, he's a blue player. Super chat I don't follow. Alright, so alright, Scrap Heap Scrounger, Crew Heart. Opponent can only block 2 things. Are they still dead here without a Fatal Push? So, play Scrounger. Crew Heart. So if I do this, they're priced into... Oh. Nope. Content here is free. Alright, so I think we figured out the lethal line here. Alright, so that was a little complicated for a green deck there. Drawn a Forest and Brontodon. Turned out the Scrap Heap Scrounger was a pretty decent draw there to be able to Crew Heart. Needed every piece of the Buffalo there to win that game. So thoughts on the deck? I mean, played 3 pickup matches and then the mirror match. The deck's just, it's brutal, efficient, good at what it does. Obviously there's, some wiggle room. As Space Marine pointed out, Gulta feels kind of at points. Like, maybe a 2-2 split on Gulta and Verdurous Gearhulk, or maybe it's just supposed to be 4 Verdurous Gearhulk. Uh, Sideboard, I mean, obviously our opponent showed us some interesting cards with the black Cartouche and Aethersphere Harvester. So there's some various different things you can do to combat. Yeah, I would. Yeah, this was the list that 5-0'd here. In the more recent leagues, but I would think a 2-2 split would be correct. The Deathguard Scavengers, I think, give a little more utility than like the true life gain cards, but I could see something like the Cartouches or the Aethersphere Harvesters in the sideboard. Deck definitely feels like it wants some amount of Lifecaster's Bestiary in the sideboard. I mean, this is an awesome card, and we brought it in against most of the control matchups, but I have lost so many times as an Esper control player to Lifecaster's Bestiary Crafters. So, I mean, the sideboard, for a deck that's only 2 colors, this sideboard has a lot of options. But I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with just the brutal... This deck's just brutal efficiency. But, Ken, do you have some experience with this deck? Like in paper or on Magic Online or anything? Yeah, Life Crafters without an immediate answer or counterspell is... Yeah, I could see... Whoever built this deck, I think, wanted to build a more... balanced deck. Like, Deathgorger isn't as good in racing situations as either Harvester or Cartouche, but it's better. It also has utility against Torrential Gearhulk decks and Godpharaoh's Gift decks. So I could see where whoever created this deck list was coming from. I think I definitely prefer Doomfall over Duress in this particular deck, because you're able to go, especially if you go elves, you're like able to go like elves into 3-drop into like Doomfall on turn 3, which is pretty nice. I think it fits. I think a 3-drop fits better on the curve in terms of interaction than even Duress does, which is kind of weird. Beyond that, I mean, this is literally my first time like being on this side of the deck. I can say from the control side, this deck is an absolute nightmare if you get behind and you're not running the white sweepers. Like if the blue-black Teferi lists, but red-black just aggro. Why does red-black wreck things? Is that because of all the like disintegrations and stuff? They're just able to like 1-for-1 you while pressuring you. So what was your... Did you figure any counters to that, or it was just that was the matchup you couldn't beat, and that's why the deck kind of probably isn't played as much as it should be? Because like right now, when Mono Red's at a bit of a low, because people are trying new decks and such, it feels like this deck is pretty well positioned. Like, I don't know how good the Zombos matchup is, but it feels like the deck's in pretty decent position right now. At least against random mid-range control jank. Yeah, I could see that. And there aren't too many decks other than ones playing Fatal Push that can answer a turn 1 Llanowar Elves. And some of those decks don't even want to waste their Fatal Push on it. So if you gave up on playing green-black, then what have you been playing? Yeah, I agree. Red-black is pretty good. I think people are kind of putting red-black on the back burner right now, just trying to have some more fun. So I think red-black might be at a lower threshold than it had been previously. Having fun with Red Wizard's Burn. Alright, it's one of the other decks I'm going to be playing here sometime in the next couple days. Deck looks fun, especially since I play a lot of Burn in Modern and Legacy. So that seems like it would be a deck that would be kind of up my alley. Did you play that new Viashino guy in your deck yet? But Space Marine, after 10:30, if you're still up, it's going to be all about you. Gotcha. Because I'm going to have to take a short break here in about 5-10 minutes to go walk dogs, and then Space Marine Dealer's Choice. Do you want me to play your black-white Planeswalker list from Modern, or do you want me to play one of the Jeskai or Esper lists from Standard? See what Space Marine. Yeah, I usually in my local meta I've played more Boros, simply because Foz, when did you sneak in here? Cinderwind deck. No, it's not a Cinderwind deck, although we will get into decks that play her War Dog. Alright, so, okay, here's what we'll do. Keep Foz and Space Marine happy. So I will play the last match of the Legacy League when I come back at about 10:20-ish. I'll play the last match of the Legacy League real quick, and then we'll jump into black-white mid-range. But the Legacy match shouldn't take more than 15-20 minutes when we get back. Then I can jump into the black-white Planeswalker list, and we can play a little bit while Space Marine's still awake. So, does that sound like a plan for everybody? Kenneth, if you like what you're seeing, I do have quite a bit of Naya Burn in Modern on the channel, Naya and Boros Burn. Probably tomorrow morning or afternoon sometime, I'll be streaming the Mono Red Wizards list. If you want to send me your list before, from before M19, that'd be great. There's a link. There's a link to my email address to send like bigger deck lists and stuff, or if you have like any questions or any deck lists you want to see played. I'm usually pretty good and timely about it, although I'm giving Space Marine crap about his black-white control list because he took him 3.5 weeks to send me the list, so now he's giving me crap about, hey, I sent you the list, why aren't you playing it yet? So, but I'll probably be back around about a half hour from now. I got some dogs to walk, and then I gotta switch some decks out and stuff. But we'll be playing one match of Legacy Burn to finish off the league, and then we'll be playing Space Marine's Black-White Modern list. Beyond that, I'm gonna sign off here for a few. I'll be back probably around 10:30, 10:40 Eastern Standard Time, just as a heads up for everybody. So, hey, Kenneth, I have no problems playing budget decks. That's perfectly fine. So, Dogs' names are, the Collies are Shiloh and Jared, the Labrador is China, and the Shetland is Cuddles. So, I did not name any of those dogs. They already came named. So, just to cut that comment off. Alright. Ken, I hope you come back to hang out later. It's been a blast talking with you about Green Black Rock. If you watch the replay, it was one of our neighbor's dogs, and she was moving away and couldn't keep a dog, so. Yep, 2 Collies, a Shetland, and a Labrador. So. They're not all my dogs, okay? But I help take care of them, so. Alright, catch you guys in half hour, 40 minutes. So, I will talk to you then.